You're making $20 an hour to work at a fast food restaurant, right? Is that six figures? Are you making?
No, Jesse, it's actually $40,000. And after taxes, they're taking home $33,135. So the take-home pay is $2,761. And the average one-bedroom apartment in this country is $1,713 plus $200 for utilities. The average American spending about $100 a week on groceries, so another $400 just to eat. So someone making $20 an hour in 2024 in the United States of America is left with $448 that they have to stretch for health insurance, car payment, car insurance, car maintenance, gas, cell phone, personal care, maybe child care, 401k, savings, miscellaneous, the list goes on. But we're talking about $20 for a fast food worker. Well, as of May 1st, 2024, ZipRecruiter said the entry-level college grads in the United States are making $23 an hour. So let's run the numbers for them. Their take-home pay would be $31.35 minus $17.13 for rent, $200 for utilities, $400 for groceries. And because they went to college, the average loan payment for a bachelor's degree is about $512. So a college graduate making $23 an hour in 2024 in this country is left with $310 to do for health insurance, car, and everything else that I listed. So for people like Jesse, for the politicians, for the celebrities, for the elites, for the top 1% who are out of touch with everyday Americans, and especially our youth, $20 an hour is not $100,000. In fact, $20 an hour, people can barely survive in 2024.
And bro, I believe we at a time where we can't really even ask the older generation for like tips and help, because life is so much different from when it was when they was younger. Like a lot of the stuff that we deal with as young people nowadays, they have never experienced, because life is that much different. Like they didn't even have social media, internet, none of that. Like you couldn't explain to them what it means to make money from a phone. Like explaining making money from YouTube would be foreign to them. They really have no concept of what it is to be a young adult in today's time. Because back then, the only way to make money and live was to just work, and that was it. You worked long hours, saved up, and you got what you needed, just like that. They don't understand that today you can have a job and still not make it. They don't understand that that's not the only route no more. Like the world is just so much different that you have to take what they say with a grain of salt, because they actually just don't understand how life is no more.
Hey YouTube, lately more and more Americans online have been talking about the same frustrating feeling. Spending money on normal things like groceries and bills, but somehow feeling like their paycheck disappears almost instantly. In this video, we're going through some of the biggest conversations people have been having online about the rising cost of living, and why so many Americans feel like everyday life has become harder to afford. From the shrinking value of money, to the pressure of trying to build a normal life, we're breaking down why so many people feel financially stuck, even when they're doing everything they were told they should be doing.
It's wild, and I want to make sure you don't miss it. We all know that Donald Trump said, on day one, I'm going to get prices down for Americans, right? Look at what's happening now. This is a brand new poll from The Guardian. It just came out today. Half of Americans struggle to afford groceries and gas. Half of Americans. Guardian calls this a grim portrait of cost of living crisis, and says that about 57% of polled Americans also believe the economy is worsening, because it is. The poll also says that 95% of Americans now believe the U.S. is suffering an affordability crisis. 95%! And this is not just Democrats, y'all. Pessimism about the economy has increased for all Americans of all parties. Look at that, just whoop, for everyone. In February, 22% of Republicans said the economy was getting worse. Now that's up to 38% of them, of Republicans. Then they asked people whether they thought jobs in their area were disappearing. Look at rural Americans. 41% of them say good job opportunities in their local area are disappearing. By the way, when it comes to rural Americans, 64% of them now say the economy is getting worse, compared with 46% who said that in February. And again, look at these specific numbers. The percentage who responded they are having trouble affording gas, 52%, groceries, 51%, loan payments, 46%, utilities, 46%. Oh, and don't forget, half of those polled said they're struggling to afford their debt, including student loan debt. This is the economy after a year and a half of Donald Trump and the Republicans in full control. But don't worry, because Donald Trump is on the job, if you consider the job building a new helipad on the White House lawn.
Beautiful helipad. And it's got the seal of the White House on it, in granite, in carved granite. It's really a beautiful thing.
A beautiful thing, he says. But as for this, oh well, he doesn't have an opinion about it at all, because as far as he's concerned, it's not true, it's not real, and your struggles are fake news. And if you're not mad about that, you should be extremely.
So crazy how $1,000 ain't no money. Like $1,000 is no money at all. Like $1,000, you can literally go through $1,000 in a day. Literally, like it is Back in the day, having $1,000 in your account it was like you good. Now having $1,000 in your account, you like ooh. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta budget. You feel me? That shows just how expensive everything has gotten these days. You know, $100 just like $1. You can go through $100 in 5 minutes. So like, Jesus, you know, and crazy part with $1,000 is a lot to lose, but it's not a lot to have. It's not a lot to have at all. Like these days, if you only got paid $1,000, it's like that is nothing. That is nothing. It's crazy how expensive everything has gotten. It's ridiculous. What we gonna do though? I don't know where they expect us to get all this money from, but whatever.
One of the biggest things making people broke right now isn't always some massive expense. It's the small everyday purchases that suddenly feel way more expensive than they should. A trip to the grocery store used to feel like a normal part of life, but now a lot of people walk out with a few bags and wonder how the total got so high. Spending $40 or $50 or even more can happen before someone even buys anything that feels special or necessary. It creates this feeling where people aren't even asking why did I buy so much? They're asking how did this little amount of stuff cost so much? That feeling is especially frustrating because groceries aren't something people can just stop buying. Food is one of the most basic parts of life, so watching those prices climb make people feel like there's less control over their own money. A lot of people are trying to be smarter with their spending, choosing cheaper options, cutting back, and avoiding random purchases. But even after all those changes, they still feel like they're paying more for less. This is what makes the situation so frustrating because it doesn't feel like a problem caused by just one bad financial decision. It feels like the entire baseline cost of living has moved higher. For younger people especially, this can be a shocking introduction to adulthood because they're realizing how quickly normal life expenses add up. Things that sound small individually can completely change a monthly budget when they happen over and over again. A few extra dollars on food, gas, or basic supplies might not even seem like much at first, but over months and years, those increases create a completely different financial reality. And that's why so many people feel like they're working just as hard but getting less breathing room than they expected. The frustration isn't really about wanting a more expensive lifestyle, it's about wanting everyday life to feel manageable without constantly checking whether another basic expense is going to throw everything off.
Life has gotten absolutely unaffordable, and I find it absolutely insane how people will still try to pull the gaslighting card with you. If you're falling behind on bills, people love to tell you that it's all your fault. You're not working hard enough. You're not budgeting correctly. And that's necessarily not true. It feels like we're working harder than ever before, and we're all falling more behind than ever. We're not asking for handouts. A lot of us out here don't want to be millionaires or billionaires. We want to be rewarded for our hard work. We don't want to slave our entire existences away anymore. We don't want to work for nothing. And a lot of people are angry and fed up because we're literally, working for absolutely no reward. It's like, how much more do we have to live below our means? How much more do we have to cut back? Because we're literally cutting back as much as we possibly can. You can't out-budget high gas. You can't out-budget high grocery costs. You can't out-budget high rent. It's like we're literally all out here, just praying to God that we can, survive another week. Like, it kind of feels like we're all working ourselves to death for absolutely no reward. And life was never supposed to be like this.
Every single thing in my life will be resolved if I had money. Everything in my life will be resolved if I had money. So when people say money isn't everything, kiss my ass. Kiss my ass. Every single problem in my life right now will be resolved if I had a lump sum of money. Everything. People just want to live. People just want to be able to eat and and afford to live. And it just seems like, I guess I just don't understand the unfairness of people can do the stupidest shit and get some money, or be the most horrible people and get some money. But good people or people who went to school and got multiple degrees gotta fucking suffer. That's just don't even make any fucking sense to me. You gotta go, something gotta happen to you major for you to get some money, and then you gotta still wait a year or 2 years for it. That don't make no fucking sense. Like, every situation in my life, I will be able to breathe better. I'll be able to wake up. Like, the dire stress of finances is literally killing me. And I wish I would just be gone, for I won't have to deal with this shit no more. Oh, it's gonna be better soon. Give me some fucking money. It's that simple.
Another thing that has changed is the way people view money itself, because amounts that once sounded like a huge safety net do not feel the same anymore. For a lot of people, having $1,000 saved used to represent being prepared and financially responsible. Now, many people look at that same amount and realize how quickly it could disappear from one unexpected situation. A car repair, a medical bill, a few weeks of higher expenses, or even catching up on overdue payments can completely change what that money means. That's why so many people feel like they're constantly behind even when they're trying to save. The problem is that saving money only helps if the money you save actually gives you security. When everything around you becomes more expensive, the same amount of savings doesn't always provide the same level of comfort. This creates a situation where people can technically have money but still feel financially stressed. They're not thinking about vacations or luxury purchases. They're thinking about whether that money is enough to handle something going wrong. A lot of younger people are experiencing this when they start learning about adulthood and realizing how expensive independence really is. Growing up, many people hear certain numbers and assume reaching them means they made it, but when they actually reach those numbers, they realize the finish line moved further away. It can feel discouraging because the goal was never to become rich overnight. The goal was to simply feel stable and not worry about every unexpected cost. When even $1,000 doesn't feel like that much protection, it changes how people think about their future. It makes saving, moving out, and planning ahead feel so much harder than expected. And that's why so many people are questioning whether the financial milestones they were taught still match the reality they're living in today.
By the way some people talk and have conversations that they don't pay no bills. Sometimes people be talking to me and I'm just like, yeah, just be quiet. Just go ahead and be quiet, because by the way you talking, I can already tell that you don't pay no bills. Those of us who have real life bills, we just move completely different in life. Now, we got our moments where we may hang out, we'll go out, we'll laugh, we'll just act a complete, you know what I'm saying? We'll go haywire, having a good time, letting our hair down. But when it's time to be about business, don't nothing be funny. All that playing and being reckless and being careless about our decisions, rent due, and it's due next week. Nah. The day I had to remind myself, like, this generation, it's actually quite literally a lot of people in this generation who don't have bills. No shade to them, because that is such a blessing to have people in your life and to have a support system that enables you to not have to pay for bills or to not have to really work a job for real. But you got people's parents who still paying car notes, car insurance. You living at home. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to pay for their mortgage. You don't pay anything. You just chilling at home. You ain't got to have a job. You taking trips. You flying out the country every month with the group chat friends. We can't be a part of the same conversation.
All I got, right? At Walmart this morning. This is all I got. I tried to eat a little bit better. This is not even expensive coffee. The Wagyu burgers is like $8 for the burgers. But look at this right here. This is $48. 48 bucks. That's it right here. $48 for this right here. Think about this for a second. This is just for one person. $48. That's it. Just a few items. I try to eat clean, but it comes at a cost.
The hardest part about rising costs is that money has slowly become connected to almost every part of normal life. For many people, it feels like every problem eventually leads back to the same question. Can you afford to fix it? A broken car isn't just a broken car anymore, because getting it repaired can affect whether someone can pay something else for the next month. Moving out isn't just about finding a place you like anymore, because rent, utilities, groceries, and everything else have to fit into the same budget. Even simple things that are supposed to make life enjoyable can start feeling like financial decisions. Going out with friends, taking a trip, or trying something new can become something people hesitate over because they're thinking about what the money can be used for instead of that. That constant calculation can make adulthood feel much heavier than people expected. A lot of younger people grew up hearing that if you worked hard, got a job, and made responsible choices, you would eventually feel comfortable. But many are reaching that stage and realizing that stability feels harder to achieve than they imagined. The frustrating part is that most people aren't asking for some unrealistic lifestyle. They're not asking to buy expensive things or live without limits. They just want enough room to handle normal expenses without feeling stressed every single time money leaves their account. When people say they're broke, they're often talking about the lack of breathing room. They're talking about feeling like one extra cost can completely throw off their plans. This is why the conversation has become so common among Americans of different ages, because it connects to something almost everyone understands. People want to feel like their hard work is leading somewhere instead of just keeping them caught up with the next bill. And until that feeling changes, the frustration about the cost of living is going to keep showing up everywhere people talk about money in the future.